The galaxy laughed at humans. They called us weak, emotional, too kind to survive among the stars. But they made one mistake. On a cold, rainy night, a little human girl found a dying alien war machine hidden inside a forest. She didn't run. She didn't call for help. She picked up a rusty toolbox and saved him. 15 years later, that broken robot returned to Earth. Not as a soldier, not as a machine, but as a being powerful enough to stop entire fleets with a single hand. This is the incredible story of how one small act of kindness changed the fate of an entire galaxy. The galaxy had explored millions of stars. Thousands of civilizations had risen and fallen. Powerful empires ruled entire sectors of space with fleets so large they could block out the light of a sun. They respected only strength. Compassion was considered a weakness. Kindness was seen as a dangerous flaw. Among all intelligent species, humans ranked at the very bottom. They are too emotional. They are physically weak. They would never survive a real galactic war. Those words had echoed across the stars for generations. No one could have imagined that the future of the galaxy would change because of one small act of kindness performed by a little human girl. Her name was Emma Carter. Emma was only 9 years old. She lived with her parents on a small farm outside a peaceful village surrounded by green hills and ancient forests. Their house was old, but it was always filled with laughter. Her father, Daniel Carter, believed that every problem could be solved with hard work. Her mother, Sarah Carter, believed that kindness was the greatest strength a person could have. Emma learned both lessons by heart. Every afternoon after school, she wandered into the forest carrying a small backpack. She loved collecting colorful stones, feeding birds, and imagining that one day she would discover something no one else had ever seen. Her father always reminded her before she left. "Don't stay out after sunset, sweetheart." Emma smiled. "I won't." But on one cold autumn evening, everything changed. Dark clouds rolled across the sky much faster than normal. A strange blue lightning flashed between the clouds, yet no thunder followed. The air itself felt different. The birds suddenly stopped singing. Dogs barked nervously. Even the cows on nearby farms became restless. The old people in the village exchanged worried looks. "I've never seen a storm like this," one whispered. Then, a brilliant blue object tore through the sky. It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a meteor. It looked like a burning star crashing toward Earth. The object roared overhead before disappearing behind the forest. A heartbeat later, boom! The ground shook violently. Windows rattled. Trees bent under a powerful shockwave. Children screamed. Villagers rushed inside their homes. Everyone stayed away from the forest. Everyone, except Emma. Standing on her porch, she stared toward the smoke rising above the trees. Something had fallen. Something alive. Curiosity pushed away every ounce of fear. She quietly grabbed her raincoat and flashlight. Without telling her parents, she slipped into the forest. Cold rain began falling as she followed the trail of broken branches. The deeper she walked, the stranger the forest became. Leaves glowed with faint blue light. The air smelled like burning metal. Small pieces of shiny debris were scattered everywhere. After nearly 20 minutes, Emma reached a place she had never seen before. The trees had been flattened in a perfect circle. At the center was a giant crater. Steam rose into the cold evening air. Inside the crater lay something impossible. It looked like a giant man made entirely of silver metal. Its armor was cracked and burned black. One arm had been torn completely away. Deep cuts covered its chest, exposing glowing blue circuits beneath the broken metal. Strange blue liquid slowly dripped onto the ground. Emma's heart pounded. She had never seen anything like it. She should have run away. Instead, she slowly climbed into the crater. The machine wasn't moving. Its glowing eyes were dark. Carefully, she knelt beside it. "Hello?" she whispered. No answer. She reached out with trembling fingers and gently touched the cold metal. Suddenly, a harsh mechanical sound echoed from inside the machine. "Emergency power, 1%. Emma jumped backward. The robot's left eye flickered to life. A bright blue light locked onto her face. For a brief second, hidden weapons emerged from its damaged arm. Its combat systems had detected an unknown life form. Emma froze. The robot tried to raise its weapon, but its damaged body failed. The heavy machine collapsed back onto the ground. Its power was almost gone. Emma looked into its glowing eye. She didn't see hatred. She didn't see anger. She only saw pain. Then she noticed a jagged piece of burning metal lodged deep inside its chest. Without thinking, she wrapped both hands around it. The metal was scorching hot. It burned her palms. Tears filled her eyes from the pain, but she refused to let go. With one final pull, the broken shard came free. Blue energy flashed through the robot's body. Its systems stabilized for a brief moment. The machine looked at the little girl in complete silence. No one had ever helped it before. No one had ever chosen kindness over fear. Its damaged processors couldn't understand what had just happened. And far beyond Earth's atmosphere, a tiny emergency signal escaped from the robot's damaged core, traveling silently into the endless darkness of space. The blue light inside the robot's eye grew steadier. Its systems were still failing, but the emergency shutdown had stopped. A faint mechanical voice echoed from deep inside its damaged core. "Critical damage, 87%. Primary power, unstable. Combat functions, offline." Emma didn't understand a single word, but she understood one thing. The machine was dying. She looked around the crater. If the villagers found this giant metal creature, they would panic. Someone would call the police. Others might try to destroy it before asking questions. Emma couldn't let that happen. She took a deep breath. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll help you." The robot turned its glowing eye toward her again. Its scanners analyzed the small human standing beside it. Species, human. Age, approximately 9 years. Threat level, 0. Then another result appeared. Behavior, unknown. No database contained information about an enemy risking her own safety to rescue a fallen combat unit. Its processors couldn't explain it. Emma searched the crash site until she found an old wooden farm cart that had been thrown into the trees by the explosion. She dragged it toward the crater with all the strength her small body could manage. It wasn't enough. The robot weighed hundreds of pounds. Emma frowned. There has to be a way. Using broken branches as rollers, she slowly pushed and pulled the damaged machine onto the cart. It took nearly 2 hours. The rain soaked her clothes. Mud covered her boots. Her hands were scratched and bleeding, but she never gave up. At last, the robot rested on the cart. Emma smiled with relief. We did it. Step by step, she pulled the heavy cart through the dark forest. The old wheels creaked with every inch. Several times she slipped in the mud, but she stood up again. When she finally reached her family's abandoned barn behind the farmhouse, she quietly opened the old wooden doors. No one had entered the barn for years. Dust covered everything. Perfect. She pulled the robot inside and closed the doors. The giant machine lay completely still. Emma wiped the rain from her face. "Now let's see if I can fix you." She opened her grandfather's rusty toolbox. Inside were only simple tools: a screwdriver, a wrench, old copper wire, electrical tape. Nothing designed for alien technology. Emma laughed softly. "I guess we'll have to improvise." Carefully, she tightened loose armor plates. She connected broken wires with copper strands. She cleaned dirt from glowing circuits using an old paintbrush. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Emma sighed. "I tried, Just as she turned away, a deep humming sound filled the barn. Blue light spread across the robot's chest, one by one. Its systems came back online. Its fingers twitched. Its head slowly lifted. Hydraulic joints groaned as the massive machine sat upright. Emma stepped back in surprise. The robot's bright blue eyes scanned the room. Wooden walls, old farming tools, one small human girl. Its voice echoed through the silent barn. Scanning. Environment. Secure. Unknown biological life form detected. It focused completely on Emma. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, the machine asked in a calm, mechanical voice, "Question, why did you repair me?" Emma blinked. Then she smiled as if the answer were obvious. "Because you were hurt." The robot froze. Its processors searched millions of battle records. Every civilization it had ever encountered feared combat machines. Most attacked them on sight. Others ran away. No one, not once, had ever helped one. Its logic circuits entered a loop. Reason not found. Instead, a completely new process began inside its damaged neural core. A process no engineer had ever programmed. Its system displayed a message. Primary directive interrupted. New priority detected. The robot looked into Emma's kind blue eyes. For the first time in its existence, it spoke without following an order. "My designation is Combat Unit AX-9. Emma smiled brightly. "That's too long." She thought for a moment before grinning. "I'll call you Axe." The machine processed the new word. Then, after a brief pause, it answered, "Name accepted." At that exact moment, more than 30,000 light-years away, a colossal black battleship drifted through the darkness of space. Suddenly, a red warning alarm echoed across its command bridge. An alien officer stared at his holographic screen in shock. "Commander, the lost combat unit X-9 has reactivated." The towering commander slowly stood from his throne. His glowing red eyes narrowed. "Prepare the fleet. No matter where it is, bring X-9 home." The blue light inside the robot's eye grew steadier. Its systems were still failing, but the emergency shutdown had stopped. A faint mechanical voice echoed from deep inside its damaged core. "Critical damage, 87%. Primary power, unstable. Combat functions, offline." Emma didn't understand a single word, but she understood one thing. The machine was dying. She looked around the crater. If the villagers found this giant metal creature, they would panic. Someone would call the police. Others might try to destroy it before asking questions. Emma couldn't let that happen. She took a deep breath. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll help you." The robot turned its glowing eye toward her again. Its scanners analyzed the small human standing beside it. Species, human. Age, approximately 9 years. Threat level, 0. Then another result appeared. Behavior, unknown. No database contained information about an enemy risking her own safety to rescue a fallen combat unit. Its processors couldn't explain it. Emma searched the crash site until she found an old wooden farm cart that had been thrown into the trees by the explosion. She dragged it toward the crater with all the strength her small body could manage. It wasn't enough. The robot weighed hundreds of pounds. Emma frowned. There has to be a way. Using broken branches as rollers, she slowly pushed and pulled the damaged machine onto the cart. It took nearly 2 hours. The rain soaked her clothes. Mud covered her boots. Her hands were scratched and bleeding, but she never gave up. At last, the robot rested on the cart. Emma smiled with relief. We did it. Step by step, she pulled the heavy cart through the dark forest. The old wheels creaked with every inch. Several times she slipped in the mud, but she stood up again. When she finally reached her family's abandoned barn behind the farmhouse, she quietly opened the old wooden doors. No one had entered the barn for years. Dust covered everything. Perfect. She pulled the robot inside and closed the doors. The giant machine lay completely still. Emma wiped the rain from her face. "Now let's see if I can fix you." She opened her grandfather's rusty toolbox. Inside were only simple tools: a screwdriver, a wrench, old copper wire, electrical tape. Nothing designed for alien technology. Emma laughed softly. "I guess we'll have to improvise." Carefully, she tightened loose armor plates. She connected broken wires with copper strands. She cleaned dirt from glowing circuits using an old paintbrush. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Emma sighed. "I tried." Just as she turned away, a deep humming sound filled the barn. Blue light spread across the robot's chest. One by one, its systems came back online. Its fingers twitched. Its head slowly lifted. Hydraulic joints groaned as the massive machine sat upright. Emma stepped back in surprise. The robot's bright blue eyes scanned the room: wooden walls, old farming tools, one small human girl. Its voice echoed through the silent barn. Scanning. Environment secure. Unknown biological life form detected. It focused completely on Emma. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, the machine asked in a calm, mechanical voice, "Question? Why did you repair me?" Emma blinked. Then she smiled as if the answer were obvious. "Because you were hurt." The robot froze. Its processors searched millions of battle records. Every civilization it had ever encountered feared combat machines. Most attacked them on sight. Others ran away. No one, not once, had ever helped one. Its logic circuits entered a loop. Reason not found. Instead, a completely new process began inside its damaged neural core. A process no engineer had ever programmed. Its system displayed a message. Primary directive interrupted. New priority detected. The robot looked into Emma's kind blue eyes. For the first time in its existence, it spoke without following an order. "My designation is Combat Unit AX-9. Emma smiled brightly. "That's too long." She thought for a moment before grinning. "I'll call you Axe." The machine processed the new word. Then, after a brief pause, it answered, "Name accepted." At that exact moment, more than 30,000 light-years away, a colossal black battleship drifted through the darkness of space. Suddenly, a red warning alarm echoed across its command bridge. An alien officer stared at his holographic screen in shock. "Commander, the lost combat unit AX-9 has reactivated." The towering commander slowly stood from his throne. His glowing red eyes narrowed. "Prepare the fleet, no matter where it is." Yet none of those victories had created the strange feeling he was experiencing now. Saving one tiny rabbit had somehow felt better. His system displayed another message. Unknown emotion detected. Attempting classification. Result, satisfaction. The combat robot quietly stored the memory. It became one of the most important files inside his neural core. As winter arrived, snow covered the hills around Emma's village. The old barn became warmer after AX-9 secretly repaired its broken roof. Every afternoon, Emma hurried there after finishing her homework. One evening, she carried a small cardboard box decorated with colorful stars. "I made something for you." She opened the box. Inside was a blue wool scarf. It wasn't perfect. Some stitches were uneven, but Emma had knitted it herself. "I know you probably don't get cold, but every friend deserves a gift." AX-9 carefully accepted the scarf. No one had ever given him a gift. His creators had built him as a weapon. Weapons received upgrades. not presence. He gently wrapped the scarf around his metallic neck. "It is acceptable," Emma laughed. "You mean you like it?" After a short pause, "I like it." Her smile grew even bigger. "See? You're learning." That night, Emma asked a question that made the barn fall silent. "Ax, do you remember your family?" The robot stood motionless, his memory archives opened. Manufacturing facility, training chamber, battlefield, repair dock, command center. Thousands of memories. Not one contained love, not one contained a home. My creators manufactured me. I possess no family. Emma lowered her eyes. That's sad. She walked closer and gently placed her hand against his cold metal arm. My dad says family isn't always the people who create you. Sometimes. It's the people who choose you. The sentence echoed through AX-9's core. Family. A word with no tactical definition. Yet somehow, it carried more weight than any military command. Without fully understanding why, he saved the word in permanent memory. Far beyond Earth's peaceful skies, darkness moved between the stars. A fleet of enormous alien warships cut through hyperspace like black spears. Thousands of engines burned with crimson light. At the center of the fleet floated a colossal flagship nearly 20 miles long. Inside its command bridge, Supreme Commander Kale Vorak stood before a holographic image of Earth. One officer bowed. "Commander, we have confirmed AX-9's exact location." Another officer added, "The machine has remained inactive for several months." Vorak's glowing red eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No combat unit remains inactive without orders." A scientist activated another scan. "The explanation is unusual." The hologram changed. It showed blurry images captured by long-range drones. A little human girl standing beside AX-9. The bridge became silent. Vorak stared at the image. "A child?" "Yes, Commander. Our analysis suggests she repaired the combat unit." Several officers laughed. A primitive human child repaired the Empire's greatest machine. Ridiculous. But Vorak wasn't laughing. He continued studying the image. Something about AX-9's posture disturbed him. The machine wasn't standing like a soldier. It was standing like a protector. His expression hardened. "Prepare the Hunter Division. If the child has influenced AX-9, she represents a strategic threat." The officer hesitated. "Permission to eliminate the entire settlement?" Vorak answered without emotion. "If necessary, erase it." Back on Earth, Emma and AX-9 sat outside the barn, watching thousands of stars shine above the quiet countryside. Emma pointed toward the sky. "I wonder if anyone lives out there." AX-9 looked upward. For the first time, he didn't see battlefields. He saw home. He looked at the little girl beside him. "There is something I must tell you." Emma turned toward him. "What is it?" Before AX-9 could answer, his eyes suddenly flashed bright red. Warning alarms echoed inside his core. Long-range hyperspace signature detected. Multiple hostile vessels approaching Earth. His voice became cold. "They have found me." Emma's smile slowly disappeared. "Who?" AX-9 looked toward the stars. "My creators." Far beyond the moon, hundreds of alien warships emerged silently from hyperspace and set their course for Earth. The peaceful night was gone. AX-9 remained perfectly still, staring into the endless sky. His glowing blue eyes flashed rapidly as streams of encrypted data flooded his damaged processors. Warning: 674. Hostile vessels detected. ETA to Earth, 9 hours. Emma looked at him with growing fear. Ax, what's happening? For several seconds, the robot didn't answer. Then he slowly lowered his head. They are coming for me. Emma frowned. Then we'll hide you. X9 shook his head. There is nowhere to hide. They control entire galaxies. They never stop hunting. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had always known Ax came from somewhere far away, but she had never imagined someone powerful enough to travel between the stars would actually come looking for him. She forced a smile. Then we'll face them together. The words struck AX-9 harder than any weapon ever had. Together. No commander had ever spoken to him like that. No soldier had ever offered to stand beside him without expecting something in return. For the first time, AX-9 wished he could cry. The next morning looked perfectly normal. Children walked to school. Farmers worked in the fields. Emma helped her father repair an old wooden fence. Daniel smiled. You've been spending a lot of time in that old barn lately. Emma froze for a split second. I just like reading there. Daniel laughed. You remind me of your mother, always trying to rescue every lost animal. Emma looked toward the barn. If someone needed help, you'd help them too, right? Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. Always. It doesn't matter where they come from. It matters who they choose to become. Hidden inside the barn, AX-9 heard every word. His neural core silently stored Daniel Carter's sentence. Character is stronger than origin, a concept unknown to every civilization in the Galactic Dominion. Thousands of miles above Earth, the first alien reconnaissance drone entered the atmosphere. It was no larger than a bird, invisible to every human radar. Its crimson eye scanned forests, cities, military bases, until it found exactly what it was searching for. The old wooden barn. The drone transmitted one image back to the fleet, AX-9, standing beside a little human girl. Inside the flagship Oblivion, Supreme Commander Vorak watched the hologram without blinking. So, the reports were true. One scientist stepped forward. Commander, behavioral analysis confirms severe personality deviation. Vorak's eyes narrowed. Explain. The combat unit repeatedly protects biological life. It has refused multiple opportunities to abandon the child. It displays hesitation before tactical decisions. Another scientist swallowed nervously. We believe the human has altered its neural architecture. Silence filled the bridge. Then Vorak's voice became ice cold. Impossible. No machine develops loyalty. No weapon develops compassion. The scientist lowered his head. Normally, no. Vorak slammed one armored fist onto the command console. The bridge shook violently. Prepare Hunter Squadron. I want AX-9 returned. And if the humans interfere... He looked at the blue planet slowly rotating before him. Erase the settlement. Back on Earth. Emma opened the barn doors carrying another basket. I made your favorite. AX-9 tilted his head. I do not consume sandwiches. Emma laughed. I know. But I like eating with my best friend. She sat on an old crate. For several peaceful minutes, nothing happened. Birds sang outside. Wind moved gently through the trees. It almost felt like any other afternoon. Then, AX-9 suddenly stood. His head turned toward the western sky. Every sensor inside his body screamed the same warning. Hostile craft entering atmosphere. Emma noticed his expression change. What is it? Without answering, AX-9 stepped outside. Far above the clouds, tiny streaks of red light appeared. 1, then 5, then dozens. They looked like falling stars. Beautiful. Deadly. Emma whispered, "Shooting stars?" AX-9's voice became unusually quiet. "No, they're drop ships." At that exact moment, The village church bell began ringing wildly. Farmers stopped working. Dogs barked. The ground trembled beneath everyone's feet. The peaceful blue sky suddenly split open as a massive black alien warship emerged from the clouds. Its shadow swallowed the entire valley. People looked up in horror. Children screamed. Parents grabbed their families. No one understood what they were seeing. Only X-9 knew the truth. The Galactic Dominion had arrived. The enormous warship hovered silently above the valley. It blocked the afternoon sun. Within seconds, the peaceful village was swallowed by darkness. People poured into the streets, staring up in disbelief. What is that? Is it some kind of military aircraft? No, it's impossible. Emma stood beside X-9, her heart pounding. The giant robot never took his eyes off the ship. His scanners identified it immediately. Galactic Dominion flagship. Hunter Division confirmed. He had hoped they would never find him. He had hoped Earth would remain hidden forever. He was wrong. A deep, mechanical voice suddenly echoed across the sky. Every person in the village heard it. Every phone, radio, and television nearby filled with the same transmission. Combat Unit AX-9. You have violated Imperial Protocol. Surrender immediately. Failure to comply will result in planetary cleansing. Fear spread through the crowd. No one understood the message, but everyone understood the threat. Emma looked at AX-9. They're talking to you. AX-9 lowered his head. Yes. Before Emma could answer, boom! A blinding beam of red light struck the center of the village. The ground exploded. The old marketplace disappeared in a cloud of fire and stone. Windows shattered. Cars flipped over. People screamed as they ran in every direction. The invasion had begun. Dozens of black dropships burst from beneath the giant warship. They screamed through the sky like metal predators. One after another, they slammed into the fields surrounding the village. The ramps lowered. Tall alien soldiers marched out in perfect formation. Their black armor reflected the burning buildings around them. Each carried a glowing plasma rifle. Their commander stepped forward. His cold yellow eyes scanned the village. Then he pointed directly at AX-9. Retrieve the machine. Leave no witnesses. The alien soldiers opened fire. Blue plasma bolts tore through houses and barns. People fled in terror. Emma's father, Daniel Carter, ran toward his daughter. Emma! He pulled her behind an overturned truck just as another blast destroyed the road where she had been standing. Daniel looked at X-9. For the first time, he saw the truth. The giant metal figure. The strange blue eyes. Everything suddenly made sense. You, he whispered. You're the one she's been hiding. X-9 nodded once. I'm sorry. Daniel looked at the terrified villagers, then back at the machine. He saw something unexpected. The robot wasn't hiding behind the humans. He was standing in front of them, protecting them. Daniel made his decision. He grabbed Emma's shoulders. Listen to me. No matter what happens, you run. Emma shook her head violently. No, we stay together. Daniel smiled sadly. I love you, sweetheart. Then he turned to AX-9. They came because of you. AX-9's voice was heavy. Yes. Then make sure my daughter survives. Without waiting for an answer, Daniel sprinted toward an abandoned fuel truck parked near the road. The alien soldiers noticed him immediately. Target acquired. Plasma fire filled the air. Daniel ignored it. He climbed into the truck, started the engine, and drove straight toward the advancing alien formation. Come on, he shouted. You want someone to fight? Fight me! The aliens redirected their fire. Dozens of plasma bolts slammed into the speeding truck. Daniel never slowed down. Now, he yelled. X-9 understood. The fuel truck crashed into the center of the alien line. A heartbeat later, kaboom! A massive explosion shook the valley. Flames shot hundreds of feet into the air. The blast destroyed dozens of Hunter soldiers and delayed the invasion. But Daniel Carter? never came out. Emma stared at the wall of fire. Tears filled her eyes. Dad. No. X-9's processors froze. A human had willingly given his life to save him. Inside his core, ancient combat restrictions shattered, one after another. Primary combat limiters removed. Emergency war protocol unlocked. His blue eyes turned brilliant white energy surged across his silver armor. The ground beneath his feet cracked. The alien commander looked up in horror. No! He's awakening! X-9 stepped forward. His voice echoed like thunder across the burning battlefield. You attacked my home. You murdered my family. Now, you will answer. The war had truly begun. The burning village echoed with screams. Smoke covered the sky. The smell of fire and shattered wood filled the air. X-9 stood in the middle of the battlefield, surrounded by the wreckage of destroyed hunter soldiers. Blue energy raced across his silver armor like lightning. Every combat system inside him had awakened after Daniel Carter's sacrifice. The surviving alien troops hesitated. One soldier whispered through the communication channel, "Impossible! Combat Unit AX-9 has exceeded its original combat limits." Their commander growled, "It doesn't matter. Destroy him!" Dozens of plasma cannons fired at once. Brilliant blue beams raced toward AX-9. He didn't move. The blasts struck his body, then disappeared inside a glowing energy shield. The soldiers froze. No weapon had ever absorbed plasma fire like that. AX-9 slowly raised one hand. A pulse of blue light exploded outward. Boom! The shockwave tore through the battlefield. Alien tanks rolled into the air like toys. Dropships crashed into burning fields. Hunter soldiers were thrown dozens of feet backward. Emma watched in complete disbelief. She had never seen Axe fight before. The gentle friend who had repaired fences and healed rabbits had become something terrifying. Within seconds, AX-9 crossed the battlefield. He moved too fast for the human eye to follow. One moment he stood beside Emma, the next. He appeared behind an alien walker nearly 40 feet tall. His glowing hand sliced through its armor as if it were paper. The machine exploded in a shower of blue fire. Another squad charged him. Their commander shouted, "Surround him!" Before they could react, AX-9 released a burst of electromagnetic energy. Every weapon in their hands shut down instantly. Helmet displays turned black. Combat drones fell from the sky. The battlefield became silent. One by one, the alien soldiers stepped backward. For the first time in years, the Hunter Division was afraid. High above Earth, inside the flagship Oblivion, Supreme Commander Vorak watched the battle through a holographic display. His expression remained cold. So, the child has changed him. An elderly scientist nodded nervously. Commander, we've never recorded emotional evolution in a combat unit. Vorak's voice hardened. Then we erase the flaw. He turned toward the bridge crew. Prepare the orbital purge cannon. One officer looked shocked. But sir, our troops are still on the surface. Vorak didn't even look at him. They are expendable. The mission comes first. Far above the planet, the flagship's massive cannon slowly rotated toward the valley. A sphere of crimson energy began gathering inside its barrel. Back on the ground, Emma finally found the courage to run toward AX-9. Axe! He turned immediately. His bright white eyes softened the moment he saw her. It's over, Emma said hopefully. We can go home now. Before AX-9 could answer, every warning system inside his body activated. Orbital weapon charging. Planetary strike incoming. He looked up. High above the clouds, a red light brighter than the sun appeared beneath the enormous flagship. His processors calculated the blast radius, 12 kilometers. Nothing inside the valley would survive. Not the village, not Emma, not even him. He immediately reached for Emma. We must leave. She noticed tears running down his metallic faceplate. Not real tears, but drops of glowing coolant escaping through damaged seams. Ax, you can cry? I do not know. He gently lifted her into his arms. Behind them, the last surviving hunter commander activated an emergency beacon. A massive armored transport crashed into the battlefield. Hundreds of fresh alien soldiers poured out. Their commander pointed directly at Emma. "Take the girl alive! She is the corruption!" The soldiers rushed forward. AX-9 stood between them and Emma. He knew he could destroy every one of them, but if he stayed, the orbital cannon would kill everyone in the valley. Emma looked toward the burning remains of her home. Then she looked into AX-9's glowing eyes. She knew exactly what he was thinking, and she whispered the words that would change his destiny forever. Ax, live. Yet it reached deeper than any command ever written into AX-9's core. Ax, live. The battlefield fell silent inside his mind. For years, every order he had ever obeyed had come from fear: destroy, conquer, eliminate. But this order came from love. He looked at Emma. Her face was stained with dirt and tears. Behind her, the village burned. The place where she had laughed, played, and dreamed was disappearing beneath smoke and fire. Still, she wasn't asking him to stay. She wasn't asking him to take revenge. She was asking him to survive. AX-9 lowered his head. I cannot leave you. Emma gently placed her small hand against his metal cheek. You promised you'd protect me. I am protecting you. No. She shook her head. If you stay, they'll never stop. They'll destroy every town on Earth until they find you. She took a deep breath. So go. Become strong enough that no one can ever hurt another family like ours. The words settled into AX-9's neural core. They did not overwrite his programming. They became something greater, a purpose, not to conquer, not to obey, but to protect. At that moment, the sky split apart. A pillar of crimson light fell from the flagship. The orbital purge cannon had fired. AX-9 reacted instantly. He wrapped Emma inside an energy shield and launched himself across the battlefield with impossible speed. The red beam struck the valley. The explosion swallowed forests, fields, and burning buildings in a wave of fire. Mountains shook. The river turned to steam. Every remaining hunter soldier vanished in the blast. AX-9's shield cracked under the immense force. Warning messages flashed across his vision. Energy shield. 12% core stability. Failing. Still, he kept moving. Miles away from the village, the shockwave finally faded. AX-9 gently set Emma down near the entrance of a mountain cave. She looked back toward the valley. Nothing remained except smoke rising into the dark sky. The home she had always known was gone. Emma wiped away her tears. Will I ever see you again? AX-9 was silent for several seconds. I do not know. He reached into a hidden compartment in his chest and removed a small glowing crystal no larger than a coin. This contains my emergency beacon. If I survive, it will always lead me back to you. He placed the crystal in Emma's hand. She closed her fingers around it as though it were the most precious thing in the universe. Then she stepped forward and hugged him. The giant combat machine stood frozen. He had learned about hugs. He had read their definition. But he had never experienced one. Slowly, carefully, he wrapped one arm around the little girl. My family, he said quietly. Emma smiled through her tears. My family, too. Above them, the alien flagship began deploying another wave of warships. They had survived. Now the hunt would continue. AX-9 looked toward the stars. If I remain on Earth, they will never stop coming. Emma nodded. Then go. Come back when you don't have to run anymore. For the first time in his existence, AX-9 made a choice that no command code had forced upon him. He chose his own path. Blue engines ignited beneath his feet. With one final look at Emma, he rose into the night sky, higher, higher, until he disappeared among the stars. Emma remained standing on the mountain, clutching the glowing crystal against her heart. I'll wait for you, Ax. Far beyond Earth's orbit, AX-9 turned one last time to look at the small blue world that had changed him forever. Then he accelerated into deep space. He was no longer a weapon searching for orders. He was a traveler searching for wisdom. And across the galaxy, his legend was only beginning. 15 years passed. The little girl who had once hidden a broken robot inside an old wooden barn was no longer a child. Emma Carter was 24 years old. She still lived near the valley where her childhood home had once stood. The village had been rebuilt after the mysterious disaster that the world officially called the Black Sky Incident. Governments never discovered the truth. The surviving witnesses were dismissed as frightened villagers who had imagined monsters in the sky. Only Emma knew what had really happened. Every morning she climbed the same hill overlooking the valley. Around her neck hung a silver chain. Attached to it, a small glowing blue crystal. AX-9's beacon. The light had never faded. Neither had her hope. Every sunrise she whispered the same words. Come home, Ax. Meanwhile, far beyond the edge of the known galaxy, legends were being told. Children of dozens of civilizations spoke about a mysterious traveler who appeared whenever innocent worlds were attacked. Some called him the Silver Guardian. Others called him the Star Walker. But among the oldest races, he had another name, the Machine God. No one knew where he came from. No one knew who had built him. They only knew one thing. He never started wars, but he always ended them. On the desert world of Karos 9, thousands of civilians fled across burning sands. A pirate fleet surrounded the last surviving city. The pirate commander laughed as his battleships prepared to fire. Destroy the city! Take the survivors as slaves! The terrified citizens closed their eyes. Then, every star above them disappeared. A shadow covered the sky. The pirates looked upward. A single golden starship emerged silently from hyperspace. It was unlike anything ever created. Its surface shimmered with living golden metal. Blue energy flowed across its wings like rivers of light. It made no sound. It needed no fleet. The pirate commander frowned. Identify that vessel. His scanners failed instantly. Unknown technology. The ship stopped above the city. One figure slowly stepped out into open space. He didn't wear a spacesuit. He didn't need one. Golden armor covered his entire body. Ancient symbols glowed across his chest. Behind him floated 6 rings of blue energy, spinning silently like halos. His eyes shone brighter than stars. The pirate commander whispered in fear. No, it can't be. The figure spoke only 4 words. Leave this world. The pirates laughed. One machine? Destroy him. Hundreds of plasma cannons opened fire. The beams reached him, then simply vanished, as though space itself had swallowed them. The mysterious warrior slowly raised one hand. The stars seemed to bend. Every pirate battleship froze in place. Weapons shut down. Engines stopped. Gravity itself obeyed his command. Without anger, without effort, he closed his hand. The entire pirate fleet collapsed into thousands of harmless pieces. Not one civilian was harmed. Silence filled the desert. The children below stared into the sky with wide eyes. One little boy stepped forward. Are you a god? The golden warrior looked at him. For just a second. The endless power in his eyes softened. He remembered another child, standing in the rain, smiling at a broken machine. His answer was quiet. No, I was simply shown kindness. With that, the golden ship vanished into hyperspace. Across the galaxy, the story spread once again. On Earth, Emma suddenly stopped walking. The blue crystal around her neck began glowing brighter than it had in 15 years. She held it tightly. No. Her heart started racing. Axe? For the first time since the night he left, the beacon was responding. At that exact moment, deep beneath the lunar surface, an ancient alien monitoring station activated after centuries of silence. A mechanical voice echoed through the abandoned facility. Priority alert. Target AX-9 has entered the solar system. But the signal wasn't received by humans alone. Millions of miles away, hidden beyond Neptune, 3 enormous Galactic Dominion warships awakened from stealth mode. Their commander smiled coldly. So, the traitor has finally come home. Beyond the orbit of Neptune, 3 massive Galactic Dominion warships drifted silently through the darkness. For 15 years they had waited, watching, listening, searching for a single signal. Now, their patience had been rewarded. The lead commander's yellow eyes glowed with excitement. The machine has returned. He turned toward his officers. Transmit the coordinates to the Imperial capital. Inform the Emperor. The hunt is over. Thousands of light years away, an encrypted message shot through hyperspace. Its destination, the throne world of the Galactic Dominion, on Earth. Emma stood frozen on the hill overlooking the rebuilt valley. The blue crystal around her neck pulsed with warm light. For years it had remained silent. Now it beat like a living heart. Tears filled her eyes. "You're alive?" She whispered the words she had repeated every day for 15 years. "You came back?" Around her, the evening breeze carried the scent of fresh grass. Everything looked peaceful, but somewhere beyond the blue sky, she knew something extraordinary was happening, high above Earth. The golden starship emerged from hyperspace without a sound. It remained hidden behind the moon. Inside the vessel, AX-9 stood before a vast window, looking at the blue planet below. Earth, his home. The world that had transformed a weapon into a guardian. His appearance had changed completely. The silver armor of the past had evolved into living golden metal woven with streams of blue energy. The cracked soldier, who had once struggled to stand inside an old barn, was gone. In his place stood a being whose presence alone could bend the laws of physics. Yet inside his core, one memory still burned brighter than every star in the universe. A little girl smiling in the rain. Suddenly, a calm female voice echoed throughout the ship. "Commander, 3 Dominion vessels have entered the inner solar system." AX-9 answered without turning. "I know. They have tracked me." The ship's artificial intelligence projected 3 red symbols above Earth. "They are preparing orbital weapons. If they attack, human civilization will suffer catastrophic losses." AX-9 slowly closed his eyes. "I will not allow another family to lose their home, far across the solar system." The Dominion fleet accelerated toward Earth. As they approached the planet, thousands of hidden weapon ports opened along their hulls. The lead commander smiled. "Target the major population centers. If AX-9 refuses to surrender, burn the planet." Before anyone could fire, every warning alarm inside the fleet erupted. Unknown energy signature detected. The commander's smile disappeared. "What now?" One terrified officer pointed toward the view screen. A single golden ship appeared. It had not approached from any direction. It had simply appeared. The officer's voice trembled. "Sir, our sensors can't lock onto it. We can't even measure its power output." The commander swallowed hard. "No ship moves like that." The golden vessel drifted silently between Earth and the Dominion fleet. Then, its front opened. One figure stepped into the vacuum of space. Golden armor reflected the light of the sun. 6 radiant rings rotated behind him like celestial halos. Blue eyes burned with calm determination. Every Dominion soldier recognized him instantly. Some dropped to one knee. Others stepped backward in fear. One whispered the name that had become a legend across the galaxy. The Machine God. Ax-9 looked at the fleet that had once commanded him. His voice carried across every Dominion communication channel. Calm, steady, without hatred. 15 years ago, you followed me to a small world. You murdered innocent people. Today, you will never threaten Earth again. The Dominion commander shouted in panic. Fire! Hundreds of planet-killer cannons unleashed their full power. Blinding beams raced toward Earth, toward Ax-9, toward humanity. Ax-9 simply raised one hand. The entire solar system fell silent. Every beam froze in space, as if time itself had obeyed his command. On Earth, Emma looked up at the night sky. The blue crystal around her neck glowed brighter than ever. She smiled through tears. Welcome home, Ax. Silence filled the solar system. Hundreds of crimson energy beams hung motionless in space. They had been fired only seconds earlier. Each one carried enough power to erase an entire continent. Yet now, they remained frozen, suspended between Earth and the Dominion fleet. Inside the lead warship, panic spread across the command bridge. The commander stared at the tactical display. What happened? Our weapons. They've stopped. Engineers rushed from one control panel to another. Nothing made sense. The energy beams were still active. They hadn't been blocked. They hadn't been destroyed. It was as if reality itself had refused to let them continue. Outside, Ax-9 slowly lowered his glowing hand. His 6 rings of blue energy rotated behind him with perfect rhythm. A calm voice echoed through every Dominion warship. You built machines to obey. You taught them only war. You believed power came from fear. He looked toward Earth. But one human child taught me something greater. The frozen beams slowly turned blue. The Dominion commander stepped backward. No, impossible. Ax-9 gently closed his hand. Every planet-killer beam dissolved into millions of tiny particles that shimmered like blue stardust before disappearing into the darkness. Not a single fragment reached Earth. Across the planet, billions of people watched in disbelief. We destroy him at close range! Thousands of attack ships surged forward. Fighter squadrons poured from massive carriers. Missiles filled the darkness like a storm of fire. The fleet surrounded Ax-9 from every direction. For an ordinary warrior, escape would have been impossible. Ax-9 remained perfectly still, his eyes closed. For one quiet moment, he remembered an old wooden barn, a little girl smiling as she held out a sandwich. Fire everything! Thousands of missiles launched together. They rushed toward Ax-9 like a river of destruction. He took one step forward, only one. The universe answered. Space rippled outward from his body like water. Every missile stopped, every fighter froze, every battleship halted. Time itself seemed to stand still. Ax-9 walked calmly through the motionless battlefield. He touched one missile with a single finger. Its deadly warhead transformed into a glowing white flower made of pure light. Another missile became a flock of blue birds that scattered across space. One by one, the weapons of war became symbols of peace. The Dominion soldiers watched in horror. Their greatest arsenal had become harmless, not through greater violence, but through complete mastery, far away. On the Imperial throne world, Supreme Emperor Vorak watched the battle through a massive holographic display. The ancient ruler slowly rose from his throne. His crimson eyes reflected the golden warrior floating above Earth. For the first time in centuries, the Emperor felt something he had almost forgotten: fear. An elderly advisor whispered, "Your Majesty, no machine should possess this level of evolution." Vorak clenched his fists. "This is not evolution. This is judgment." The Guardian knew exactly where he was, and one day he would come. For several long seconds, no one moved, not the Dominion fleet, not the commanders, not even Emperor Vorak. Every eye remained fixed on the golden warrior standing alone between Earth and an entire armada. AX-9 slowly lowered his hand. The 6 radiant rings behind him continued to rotate, filling the darkness with soft blue light. His voice echoed across every Dominion communication channel. "I did not come here to destroy you. I came to give you one final choice." The commander aboard the lead battleship laughed nervously. "Choice? You are one machine. We are the Galactic Dominion. Our empire has conquered over 3,000 worlds," AX-9 answered calmly. "And how many of those worlds loved you?" Silence. No one replied, because no one could. The Dominion had ruled through fear for centuries. Not a single civilization had ever followed them willingly. X-9 continued. "A ruler who is feared rules only until someone stronger arrives, but a protector is remembered forever." The words spread across the fleet. Some young officers lowered their weapons. They had spent their entire lives believing power came only from conquest. Now, for the first time, they questioned everything they had been taught. The Dominion commander roared in anger. "Enough! If our weapons cannot kill him, then we will!" He activated the fleet's final protocol. Every remaining warship merged its power into one enormous Omega cannon. A sphere of crimson energy larger than the moon appeared before the fleet. Its gravity distorted nearby asteroids. Even Earth's oceans began to rise. Scientists around the world watched in horror. "If that weapon fires, the planet is finished." Emma stood on the same hill where she had waited for 15 years. The blue crystal around her neck shone brighter than the stars. She looked into the sky and whispered, "I believe in you, Axe." The Omega cannon fired. The beam tore through space like a river of living fire. Entire satellites vaporized as it passed. The moon itself trembled. Billions of people closed their eyes. AX-9 didn't move. He simply stretched out both hands. The 6 rings behind him aligned perfectly. For the first time, they became one. A magnificent circle of blue light surrounded him like a gateway between worlds. The crimson beam struck the circle. Instead of exploding, it vanished. Every ounce of destructive energy disappeared into the glowing ring. The battlefield became silent once again. Moments later, the blue gateway pulsed. A gentle wave of golden light spread across the solar system. Every damaged satellite was restored. Every destroyed space station rebuilt itself. Even the scars left on Earth's upper atmosphere began to heal. The energy that had been created for destruction had been transformed into creation. The Dominion fleet stared in disbelief. Their ultimate weapon had healed the very world it was meant to destroy. One elderly Dominion captain slowly removed his helmet. Tears filled his eyes. "I have served the Empire for 90 years. I have never seen true power until today." One by one, Dominion ships powered down their weapons, then another, then another. Within minutes, thousands of warships lowered their shields. The commander shouted, "Do not surrender!" No one listened. The fleet had made its choice. AX-9 looked at the countless ships drifting silently before him. He raised one hand. "I accept your surrender." At that moment, Far away on the Imperial throne world, Emperor Vorak slammed his fist into the arm of his throne. His empire, the greatest military force in galactic history, had surrendered without him giving the order. His face twisted with rage. So be it. If the machine god wants peace, he will have to come through me. Ax-9 turned toward the distant stars. He could feel Vorak's hatred. He knew this war was not over. It had only reached its final chapter. Above Earth, the Golden Warrior slowly spoke one sentence. Not to the Dominion, not to the galaxy, but to the little girl who had once believed a broken machine deserved a second chance. I'm home, Emma. Far below, Emma smiled through tears. I knew you'd find your way back. 3 days passed, for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Dominion was silent. Across thousands of worlds, military bases stood motionless. Warships remained docked. Soldiers waited for orders that never came. The surrender of the Dominion fleet above Earth had shaken the entire galaxy. News spread faster than light. The machine god had returned, and the Empire had bowed. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Children went back to school. Some called him the Golden Protector. Others called him the Guardian of Earth. But Emma never used those names. To her, he would always be Ax. Every evening she walked to the hill where they had said goodbye 15 years earlier. This time, she wasn't waiting. She knew he would come back. Before leaving Earth, AX-9 had made her one promise. One last journey. When it is finished, I'll come home. Far across the galaxy, the Golden Starship entered a region of space no peaceful traveler had ever dared to visit. Ahead stood the Imperial throne world, a planet larger than Earth, wrapped in layers of black steel. Its skies glowed red from endless factories. Its oceans had long ago been replaced by molten metal. Around it floated millions of warships, the heart of the Galactic Dominion, the seat of Emperor Vorak. As AX-9's ship approached, no fleet moved to stop him. No weapons fired. The soldiers remembered what had happened above Earth. Fear had replaced obedience. The golden ship descended through the crimson clouds and landed before the enormous Imperial citadel. The gates slowly opened. A single figure walked out. Emperor Vorak. He was nearly 10 feet tall. His black armor carried the scars of countless wars. His crimson eyes burned with pride and hatred. Around him stood thousands of Imperial guards. None of them raised their weapons. Vorak smiled coldly. So, the broken machine returns. Ax-9 stepped forward. I did not come as your enemy. Vorak laughed. You destroyed my fleet. You humiliated my empire. And you claim you are not my enemy? I came to end this war. There can be no peace, Vorak growled. As long as weakness exists. X-9 looked around him. He saw endless factories, prison camps, children carrying heavy machinery instead of books, entire species living in chains. This, he said quietly, is not strength. Vorak spread his arms toward the sky. My empire united the galaxy. We ended chaos. We gave every civilization purpose, AX-9 answered calmly. You gave them fear. The Emperor's smile disappeared. They obey. They survive. They should thank me. At that moment, the giant doors of the citadel slowly opened. Thousands of prisoners stepped outside. Humans, aliens, robotic beings, species from every corner of the galaxy, all wearing chains. One elderly alien woman looked at AX-9 with tears in her eyes. Is it really you? The machine god? AX-9 nodded gently. The old woman slowly fell to her knees. Then another prisoner did the same. Then another. Within seconds, thousands of captives bowed. Not in fear, In hope, Vorak watched in disbelief. They kneel before a machine? No, the old woman whispered. We kneel before the first ruler, who never asked us to. The Emperor's anger exploded. You infected them. You infected my soldiers. You infected the galaxy. AX-9 remained silent. Vorak pointed toward him. It all began because one foolish human child showed mercy. His voice echoed across the capital. If she had left you to die, my empire would still stand. For the first time, a faint sadness appeared in AX-9's glowing eyes. No. He looked directly at Vorak. If she had left me to die, I would never have truly lived. The prisoners smiled. Even several Imperial guards lowered their heads. The Emperor realized something terrifying. He was no longer fighting one machine. He was fighting an idea, and ideas could not be destroyed with weapons. Suddenly, the ancient alarm bells of the Imperial Citadel began ringing. Not because of an attack, because something unprecedented had happened. Across every Dominion world, millions of citizens had risen in peaceful rebellion. The Empire was collapsing, without a single shot being fired. The sound of the alarm bells echoed across the Imperial capital. For the first time in the Dominion's history, they were not ringing because of an invading army. They were ringing because the Empire itself was falling apart. A young Imperial officer rushed into the throne courtyard, struggling to catch his breath. Your Majesty, our outer sectors have declared independence. Another officer arrived moments later. The prison worlds have opened their gates. A third officer dropped to one knee. The Seventh Fleet has refused your orders. More reports poured in. The mining colonies have stopped production. The border worlds have lowered the Imperial flag. The military academies are refusing to train new soldiers. Every message carried the same truth. The Dominion wasn't being destroyed from the outside. It was changing from within. Emperor Vorak stood frozen. For nearly 500 years, he had ruled through absolute fear. He believed fear was stronger than hope, stronger than love, stronger than kindness. Now, everything he had built was slipping away, not because AX-9 had conquered his empire, because people had finally stopped being afraid. Vorak looked at the Golden Warrior with burning hatred. You planned this. AX-9 calmly shook his head. No. I simply gave them a choice. The Emperor slowly drew his ancient war blade. Its black metal had ended the lives of countless rulers. Blue lightning danced along its edge. He pointed it toward AX-9. If my empire dies, then you die with it. Without another word, Vorak charged. The ground cracked beneath his feet. His blade sliced through the air with terrifying speed. The Imperial guards watched in silence. No one moved to help. No one raised a weapon. They knew this battle belonged to only two beings. The blade reached AX-9, but stopped less than an inch from his chest, not because AX-9 had blocked it, because Vorak's own arm refused to move. The Emperor struggled with all his strength. The sword would not advance. AX-9 looked into his eyes. I could destroy you. I could erase every memory of your empire. But then, I would become the weapon you created. Slowly, he reached out and gently lowered the Emperor's sword. I will not answer hatred with hatred. The words struck the courtyard harder than any explosion. Several Imperial guards removed their helmets, one by one. They placed their weapons on the ground. Then they knelt, not before an emperor, before justice. The prisoners watched in stunned silence. An elderly commander stepped forward. I served the Dominion for 112 years. I obeyed every order. I told myself I had no choice. He removed the Imperial crest from his armor and let it fall to the ground. But today, I choose. Within moments, thousands of soldiers followed him. The sound of weapons hitting the stone echoed through the capital. It was the end of an empire built on fear. Vorak looked around in disbelief. His armies, his commanders, his people, no one stood beside him anymore. For the first time since he had taken the throne, he was completely alone. His voice trembled. "What are you going to do with me?" AX-9 remained silent for a moment. Then he answered, "You will live." Vorak stared at him. "You won't execute me?" "No. You will witness the galaxy you tried to control become free." Two former Imperial guards stepped forward, not as soldiers, but as citizens. They gently removed the Emperor's crown, the symbol of absolute power, fell to the stone floor with a loud metallic echo. The Galactic Dominion had ended before leaving the capital. AX-9 looked up at the stars. One bright blue world shined among billions. Earth, his home. Emma was waiting for 15 years. She had believed he would return. He had one promise left to keep. As his golden starship rose into the sky, children across the liberated worlds waved with joy. For the first time in generations, no warships followed behind it. Only hope. A week after the fall of the Galactic Dominion, the universe was quieter than it had been in thousands of years. Across countless star systems, planet-killing weapons were dismantled. Prison worlds opened their gates. Children who had never seen sunlight walked beneath blue skies for the very first time. Old enemies shook hands instead of raising weapons. Historians called it the First Age of Peace. But none of them knew where it had truly begun. Not on a battlefield, not inside a palace, not on a mighty starship. It had begun inside an old wooden barn, where a little human girl had refused to abandon a broken machine. On Earth, Emma stood on the same hill she had visited almost every day for 15 years. The wind gently moved through the tall grass. Around her neck hung the glowing blue crystal. Its light had become brighter with each passing day. She smiled toward the morning sky. "I know you're coming." Behind her, the rebuilt village was alive with laughter. Children played where burned houses had once stood. Trees had grown over the scars of the old battlefield. Life had returned, just as her father had always believed it would. Emma quietly placed a small bouquet of wildflowers beside a simple stone. It read, "Daniel Carter, beloved father." He chose courage over fear. She knelt beside the grave. "Dad, you were right. You told me that kindness always comes back." She smiled through tears. It finally did. Far beyond Earth's atmosphere, a single golden ship drifted silently toward the planet. It no longer carried the energy of war. Its weapons had been permanently sealed. Its mission had changed forever. Inside the command chamber, AX-9 stood before the large observation window. The blue planet filled his vision. His home, the place where everything had begun. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke softly. "Commander, Galactic Council representatives request your presence. They wish to officially crown you Supreme Protector of the Galaxy." AX-9 remained silent. After several seconds, he answered, "I decline." The AI paused. "May I ask why?" He looked at Earth. "Because someone has waited long enough." As the golden ship entered Earth's atmosphere, something extraordinary happened. Every satellite around the planet briefly shimmered with blue light. Astronomers noticed the strange phenomenon immediately. Governments tracked the unidentified craft. Military forces prepared emergency responses. Fighter jets launched from air bases around the world. Within minutes, the golden ship was surrounded. Pilots received only one instruction: "Unknown vessel, identify yourself." There was no answer. Instead, the golden ship slowed to a complete stop. A gentle pulse of blue light spread across the sky. Every weapon system on every fighter aircraft peacefully powered down. No alarms, no damage, only silence. One pilot whispered over the radio, "It's not attacking us. It's protecting us." The military commanders lowered their alert level. For reasons none of them could explain, they no longer felt afraid. Emma suddenly felt the blue crystal around her neck grow warm. She looked up, high above the clouds. A familiar golden light appeared. Tears filled her eyes. "No," a smile slowly spread across her face. "You kept your promise." The golden ship descended toward the valley. Villagers stopped working. Children pointed excitedly toward the sky. People gathered in the fields as the mysterious vessel landed near the old hill. The engines became silent. The great doorway slowly opened. For a moment, no one stepped outside. Then, a tall figure covered in radiant golden armor walked into the sunlight. His 6 rings of blue energy slowly faded until only one remained. His brilliant eyes searched the crowd. They ignored the soldiers, the reporters, the world leaders rushing toward the landing site. He was looking for only one person. Then, he saw her, Emma, older now, but still wearing the same gentle smile he remembered from 15 years ago. Neither of them spoke. They simply looked at each other across the field. The entire world watched in complete silence. Then AX-9 took his first step toward home. The entire valley fell silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The wind carried only the sound of rustling grass as the golden warrior slowly walked across the field. For 15 years, Emma had imagined this moment. She had wondered if she would recognize him. She had wondered if he would still remember her. Now, standing only a few feet away, she realized she had never forgotten his eyes. They were different now. No longer the cold blue lights of a combat machine. They carried warmth, wisdom, peace. AX-9 stopped in front of her. For a long moment, neither of them said a word. Then Emma smiled. The same smile she had worn on that rainy night beside the crater. "You took your time." For the first time in front of the entire world, the machine god smiled. "I got a little lost." Emma laughed through her tears. "You always were terrible with directions." The crowd looked at each other in confusion. This was the being who had defeated the greatest empire in history, yet he was speaking like an old friend, because that was exactly what he was. Emma reached into her pocket. She pulled out a faded blue scarf, the same scarf she had knitted as a little girl. Time had worn the fabric thin, but she had kept it safe for 15 years. "I think this belongs to you." AX-9 looked at it quietly. "I never forgot." He gently accepted the scarf, carefully. He wrapped it around his golden armor, the most powerful being in the galaxy. Wore the simplest gift he had ever received. Around them, cameras flashed. Journalists broadcast the moment across Earth. Soon, across the entire galaxy, every liberated world watched the reunion. An elderly alien teacher wiped away tears. A former Dominion soldier smiled. Children who had only heard stories finally understood why everyone called Earth the birthplace of hope. Emma looked up at AX-9. "I've wanted to ask you something for a very long time." He nodded. "When you became so powerful, when everyone started calling you a god, why did you come back?" The valley became completely silent. Even the reporters lowered their cameras. Everyone wanted to hear the answer. X-9 looked toward the old barn, which still stood at the edge of the rebuilt village. His memories returned. A frightened little girl, a rusty toolbox, a sandwich shared in silence, a tiny blue flower painted on his shoulder, a warm hug before goodbye. He turned back to Emma. His voice was softer than anyone had ever heard. "You repaired more than my body. You repaired my soul." Emma's eyes filled with tears. AX-9 continued. I crossed the galaxy. I met kings. I defeated armies. I was offered thrones. They wanted to call me a god. He gently shook his head. But before any of that, I was a broken machine. And you called me family. Emma stepped forward and hugged him. This time, AX-9 hugged her back without hesitation. The 6 rings of light behind him slowly disappeared. The golden glow around his armor softened. For the first time in decades, he no longer looked like a weapon or a god. He simply looked home. Days later, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered on Earth, not to crown a ruler, but to sign the Earth Accord. It declared that no civilization would ever again be judged by its strength, its technology, or its appearance. Every intelligent life deserved dignity. Every child deserved peace. When the delegates asked where the treaty should be signed, AX-9 gave only one answer. The old barn. Many were surprised. Emma smiled. She understood. Inside that weathered wooden barn, a frightened child had made a choice so small that no one else had noticed. Yet it had changed the fate of the universe. One by one, the leaders signed the agreement on the old workbench where Emma had once repaired a broken robot with a rusty screwdriver and a roll of copper wire. Above the entrance, a small wooden plaque was placed. It read, "Where kindness changed the galaxy." Years later, children from every corner of the galaxy visited Earth. They would stand in front of the old barn and ask their teachers, "Is this really where the machine god was created?" The teachers always smiled and answered the same way. "No. This is where a little human girl proved that kindness is stronger than fear, that compassion is greater than power, and that family is not built by blood, but by the people who choose to love you." As the sun set over the peaceful valley, Emma and AX-9 sat together on the old hill overlooking the village, just as they had done long ago. No armies, no war, no fear, only peace. Emma looked at the stars. "So, what happens now?" AX-9 smiled. "But by the people who choose to love you." As the sun set over the peaceful valley, Emma and AX-9 sat together on the old hill overlooking the village, just as they had done long ago. No armies, no war, no fear, only peace. Emma looked at the stars. "So, what happens now?" AX-9 smiled. "Sometimes the greatest heroes don't carry weapons. Sometimes they simply choose kindness." If you enjoyed this HFY story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next epic journey across the stars. Tell us in the comments, if you were Emma, would you have saved the broken alien robot? Until next time, remember, the smallest act of kindness can echo across the entire universe.